All right, so video ads are the talk of the day for sure. This is a talk that I did at GDC, was requested to do here again. A little bit of information. I work for Next Games. We're talking about specifically Compass Point West. We released this in March of 2015. A couple of stats that have grabbed people's attention. These are our stats from August. 75% of our players watch an ad every day, and 6 cents per player from ad revenue every day. So these apparently are some pretty good benchmarks we've heard, so people have wanted to know how we did it. So first off, we did a lot of innovation, but we also made sure to learn from the current state of the market. So we learned to integrate with core loops. We're ensured not to overload the inventory and to work with multiple partners. I definitely want to encourage everybody who's looking at video ads to do all 3 of these things. Just a little bit of details on integrating with core loops. That means don't just put it in your shop for some extra soft currency and call it a day. I have seen this over and over and over and over again, and I've never heard anybody saying we're making a lot of money off of this. Make sure you're giving the player a purchase-worthy item. That goes into soft currency for sure, but also make sure you're not just giving them something. I've heard advice, oh, something exclusive that you can only get with ads. Great. Make sure it is something that they want. And also put your ad front and center. Adventure Capitalist is a really good example of this. Treat it not as something in your shop, but a shop button unto itself. Ad watchers are a completely different section and a completely different segment than people who pay and people who don't. So you have to treat them as their own, and that means they get a button all of their own. Venture Capitalists, Crossy Road both did this, and I'm sure you've heard about their ad revenues. Also, don't overload your inventory. This is the thing that your designers need to understand. Your designers need to understand the business of ads, and that means you actually want people to click on the ads and look at the games you're advertising, which means you can't just go around and give 10 ads in a row, because if someone's watching 10 ads in a row, they're not going to be clicking on them. It doesn't necessarily work out for the ad providers, and the ad providers have no reason to give your game more money. They give lower eCPMs for everybody who gives empty clicks. They do that because they should. So it's important that you're giving very, very valuable ads sparingly to players at the exact right time, as opposed to just letting them watch as many as they want because you get a cent from it. Otherwise, that's all you get. The other thing to point out, and we learned this from Kalu, who did this really, really well, work with multiple ad partners. This also works out in everybody's benefit for the same reasons. You're giving less empty ads if there's a more variety of ads. If you're only using one partner, they're going to start seeing repeat ads, even if you're only showing 2 or 3, depending on the inventory going on in the day, which doesn't necessarily work out for the ad provider. So you want to make sure that you use as many of them as you can, so that you can also, perhaps some partner is working and buying a whole lot of ads in France. You want to be working with that one, and as opposed to one that just having the one that might have missed that promotion. So it's a lot more work, but it is worth it, and that is one of the ways we got here, is making sure we optimize and work with as many ad partners as we can. So things that we did differently. We implemented in a non-proven genre. Now this is a little less relevant as now everybody is doing it, but when we first started, it was a bit of a risk. We treated ads as an awesome feature as opposed to a sideline feature, and we made them an important piece of our economy. So everyone at Next Games was actually really, really worried when we put ads in Compass Point West, for the simple reason we are a builder battler. First, no one had done really ads at that point in a builder battler. Clash didn't do ads, so of course we still have this cargo cult design mentality a lot in the industry. If somebody is really good at something and they're not doing something you want to try, you get really, really, really nervous a lot. Well, why wasn't Clash doing it if it was going to make money? But we looked at the actual business. We knew that Clash ads were probably a lot more expensive because of all the money they were making than, say, a Candy Crush ad. And in our game, showing Clash ads would be a whole lot more lucrative if we did it right. So by looking at the business and not just looking at the previous successes of other companies, then we saw that there was actually an opportunity to go into the builder battler genre and show ads properly. The other thing we did is we made this a dedicated ad experience. This is just a quick little rundown of how it goes. We gather soft currency depending on how much of your map you've expanded. We already had that feature in the game. And then we added our traveling show feature, which we now, not a lot of players listen to sound and everything like that, but we still made sure that there was dedicated sounds and everything for this. We put as much production value as we could into the traveling show as we would a brand new feature. It's very tempting, very, very, very tempting to go and just add it as another piece of an interface that you already have. We went differently and we made a complete interface specifically for this. And at the end, we gave them our card decks, which are our primary premium purchase. These are the things that we sell people, and these are the things that are an important part of the game. So this actually allowed us to give them a very small sort of portion of the premium experience. They're giving you 15 seconds of their time, but they're also giving you money. Treat them like payers, and that's what we did. We gave them something worth paying for, albeit a smaller version, but still just as emotionally rewarding. And so another thing that we did is make sure that you actually overvaluate for the money that you're getting. We're making 6 cents, but if you actually break it down in our game, each of those ad decks packs is worth 30 cents. And that's because, the players that are watching them are not usually giving us very much money at all. So that's money we wouldn't get. That's 30 cents that didn't exist. So for us to actually get that 6 cents, it's way worth it, and it's important, very important that you overvalue for price, because this is a way to get monetization out of non-paying users and giving them an opportunity to take part in the premium economy. So you want to give them something substantial. So this essentially ended up, normally in free-to-play, you will give them often a teaser. You'll let them know what the premium experience is like. We don't necessarily do that in Compass Point West. We use the ads to do that, and we put them front and center. So by doing that, then they go, okay, this is what it's like to spend a little bit of money, like 30 cents worth of money. And we use the ads to replace that. And the other thing that you want to do is that if you have anything in your game that allows you to speed through, our ad packs have lots and lots and lots of speed ups, because that allows more engagement. If people aren't going to spend on that, then you want them to actually give a little bit of money to feel what that feels like, but also to keep them playing a little bit more. So it was touched on in the ad colony deck, how you can use this to actually really, really boost re-engagement while still getting some monetization out of it. So now, obviously, we did not come to this at Next Games by just guessing and throwing it into the wind. Because everybody was so nervous that it wasn't going to work, then we had to do a lot of A/B testing just to see how things were going, which led to some interesting results. So we had one where we were showing 1 ad, one where we were showing 5 ads, and one where we were showing 3 ads, which was the control group of what we had before. So what we found is that actually the less ads we showed, the more IAP conversion we did have. So if you're worried about cannibalization by using really, really valuable ad placement, it is true. There will be some cannibalization. But one thing to keep in mind is that there are other things involved in an IAPs with the platforms that actually, if we looked at the overall net revenue generated, the control group actually won out. So that made us think, okay, if there is some cannibalization, what will happen if we don't show any ads at all? If people didn't know that you could get things from ads in the game. And so what we found is that the one with ads had 20% more repeat purchases, 15% higher conversion rate, and 50% higher ARPDAU on IAPs, which means that the ads were actually increasing the value proposition of the game. If we were looking specifically at the people who spent, they were also some of our heaviest ad watchers as well, but they were spending, and they were repeating spending as well. So what ads do is that they allow players to know, hey, this game is actually worth more money than one that doesn't have ads in it. Because there's an opportunity for me to take part in some generosity and contribute and pay only when I really feel like, okay, now's the time to get something really, really heavy. So, but this is the thing, is that that 50% higher ARPDAU, that is the one that is really important to note. Every game, I think, right now should have ads in it of some point after looking at this, for the specific reason it increases the value proposition of your game itself. So, if you got anything to take away from this, if you want to take pictures of any slides, this is the one to do it. Lower amounts of valuable rewards on voluntary ads used consistently by a large majority of players in the early purchase price range was the key to our ad revenue success. So, actually, I was told not to speed through it, and I did, so I've got plenty of time for questions. If anybody has any questions about the design process and how we made the decisions that we did, or how things are going now. Yes.
Goes first. Hi. Hey, Mitch. Did you guys only A/B test the number of ads, or also the contents of the rewards that you were giving for the ads?
Yeah, we only tested the number of the ads just to keep it at the value because it's randomized. We did make the assumption that the perception value would be pretty much invisible unless we made it really, really, really drastic. So it's something it is one we talked about doing, but we've determined that because it was so gacha heavy and we had such a large variety in the decks, that it would be very difficult for the players to perceive and make a decision that the A/B test could measure.
Right. Just a quick follow-up. And how did you come to the giving away 30-cent value? Was that just kind of the lowest entry point that you think would feel valuable, or did you?
We sort of played with what felt right in the decks, and so like I measured that after about where it would be. We didn't, and we were trying to get it to the right point. But we knew what the rates were going to be coming in, were going to be, and so it was sort of like, okay, and I was sort of looking at the value of other games, and I'd seen most of them had been around anywhere from 10 cents to $1, but the ones with $1 wasn't doing so great, the ones with the 10 cents weren't doing well either, so tried to get something in the middle. It was more of a gut thing at that point, but the decks felt right in the game, but we did make a point to know, I know that 30-cent number, because we wanted to overvaluate, and that was a goal of ours, and so it was just a matter of how much.
Hello.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Hey, I have the mic now.
Okay.
At what part of the development cycle did you do this A/B testing, and who were the users that you were testing with?
We did this in soft launch. This was one of our earliest soft launch updates. In fact, we had an entire update in soft launch dedicated specifically to getting this right. So that's when we did it. We did it but because it was soft launch, we were paying specifically for the users. So it was very expensive for us to try and segment and then get a little more nuanced sort of details. So we did run actually the test after soft launch with the no ads. After we had seen like the whole full development build of the game, so we could get a good value perception sort of out of it. But the first ones that we did with those were done in soft launch immediately after the launch of the feature. Yeah. Oh. Oh. Okay.
Hi, a question about the ad. So do you see any difference in the ad usage between the freshly acquired users and some older users?
Yeah, a little bit. It's a slow linear curve. Like we don't have any tutorials or anything showing, so you can actually find the ads before you really know what the decks do. So we find that because of that, the earlier users don't necessarily get into it, but once it's after day one, then it starts going up. The players, we did create this to be an appointment mechanic, that you come back, you want to be excited that there's ads coming back. So the longer we have found, yes, the longer players play and the longer that many days they've been retained, the more ads that they watch.
Hi. Quick question. Are the figures gross or net to you?
It is. It's net for 6 cents per user. Yeah.
Cool.
Hey, buddy.
Hey.
Can you hear me? Yeah. Quick question based on, you were saying you fire off the amount of ads across all users, is that correct?
Yes.
It's the same for everyone.
Yeah.
Is there any thoughts on optimizing based on segments or player behavior or non-spenders versus spenders? Or
Yeah, there is. It's a little trickier to measure in ads because we're still making sure we're optimizing the eCPM. So if we do something like say, okay, you're a spender and you've played for 30 days and you're one of our big ad watchers and there's a whole bunch of them, or you're not a spender. If we like it, for example, like that could skew a lot of the things while we're figuring out the eCPM sort of stuff. So it's something we want to do. Obviously, but it's in the pipeline a little bit further down the road. It is something we've talked about because we definitely want to, if we can safely do it without lowering the CPMs, we would love to show if you're not a spender, but you're really dedicated to the game, giving those players more ads. But because they are so valuable too, we don't want to give away some competitive advantage to non-spenders who might be getting more decks and things like that. So we would have to create different decks in those situations and stuff like that. All right, I'm way over time now, so anybody wants to talk with me, I have like a little bit, 10 minutes before I have to go back to the office and fix some other A/B tests.